Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to see just how much can really change across the entire globe in a single day. A lot more than you might think. We're taking a really unique look into the future, creating a snapshot of our planet on one single day, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. So let's see what that day holds. All right, first stop, the Middle East, where a military chapter that's lasted 12 long years is coming to a pretty dramatic close. Then over in Europe, you've got diplomats gathering for some incredibly high-stakes negotiations. We're talking about peace and nothing less than the future of global health. And in South Asia, two global powers are meeting up to forge what looks to be a powerful new partnership for the future. These are the kinds of threads we'll be pulling on. Okay, so let's start with the big picture. A world in flux, where the major superpowers are making some really bold and, sometimes completely contradictory moves. And right here, we see a fascinating contradiction. On the very same day, the United States signals a full military withdrawal from Syria, ending a 12-year mission, while at the same time launching a major military buildup targeting its neighbor Iran. This gives us a real glimpse into a pretty complex regional strategy, one that's pivoting away from long-term ground commitments, but at the same time projecting naval power to contain very specific threats. And believe me, the stakes couldn't be higher. In response to that U.S. naval presence, Iran's supreme leader issues this. It's a direct and chilling threat. The tension is just palpable. But it's not all conflict and threats. Diplomacy is also hard at work. In Geneva, U.S.-brokered talks between Russia and Ukraine are offering a fragile glimmer of hope. And this balance, between confrontation and cooperation, that's what really shapes global policy. So it's not just about reacting to conflict. Nations are proactively out there trying to shape their own futures through some really deliberate policy and diplomacy. Just look at what's happening in Mumbai. You've got Prime Ministers Modi of India and Macron of France building this powerful new alliance. They're moving way beyond just traditional trade talks. They're focusing on the future, with cooperation in things like artificial intelligence and defense. And here's a great example of how policy can be used to solve problems at home. Canada, facing critical labor shortages, is strategically overhauling its entire immigration system to attract the specific talent it needs. We're talking doctors, researchers, and even military personnel. It's incredibly targeted. And this proactive kind of policymaking is happening all over the place. In Geneva, the World Health Organization is trying to write the rules for the next pandemic. Meanwhile, over in Poland, they're addressing very modern security threats by banning Chinese-made connected vehicles from military sites. All this brings us to a new global battleground, the really intense fight for control over our digital lives. And it's a fight being waged by corporations, governments, and criminals. So this battle is being fought on two totally different fronts. In one corner, you have giant corporations like Meta being held accountable in court for their platform's impact. And in the other corner, you have governments like Gabon's just taking direct control, shutting those same platforms down entirely. And of course, there's that third force at play. Cybercriminals are demonstrating their power to disrupt daily life and commerce on a massive scale. Just look at this significant ransomware attack that forced a major Japanese hotel chain, all 34 locations, completely offline. But what does all this high-level maneuvering and digital conflict actually mean for everyday people? Let's ground these global events in the stories of real human impact. In Nigeria, a single number represents an immense tragedy: 38. 38 miners dead after a gas explosion. It's just a stark reminder of the devastating human cost when industrial safety fails. And in Gaza, a global conflict translates into a tense and uncertain start to a sacred time. Residents are trying to observe Ramadan, but it's all happening under the shadow of a very fragile ceasefire and continued violence. And finally, we remember a life that shaped history. The world is mourning the civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, a pivotal figure in the American story who worked right alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and twice ran for president. He has passed away at the age of 84. So what does this one day really show us? Well, it reveals a world where global power is constantly shifting, where nations are trying to plan for the future, where a new digital conflict is raging, and where, ultimately, it all comes down to the profound consequences on human lives. It's a powerful reminder of just how fast-paced and complex our interconnected world has become. And it leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. If all of this can happen in a single day, what story will tomorrow tell?